Dracula by Bram Stoker. This is the classic tale of suspense that stars one of the most famous and iconic villains in literary history. The novel begins with the journal of John Harker, who is traveling to Eastern Europe and ends up in a Transylvanian castle with the mysterious Count Dracula, and he starts to quickly realize that things aren't as they seem. The more books I read, the more I'm impressed by the ability to craft a unique tone to a story. This isn't only in the plot and the events, but in the way that the prose is constructed and the details that the writer chooses. And this is what Dracula does incredibly well, to where so much of this is iconic. I love the descriptions of the book of the castle and the dark hills of the mysterious woods, of the abandoned ship that shows up mysteriously in England, of the bats scratching at the window late at night, the full moon, the wolves. It's all just so wonderfully, it captures this sense of darkness and mystery and horror. All of it seems to hone in exactly on what the spirit of Halloween is. It's funny, I was thinking about this in connection to what Charles Dickens did with The Christmas Carol. And so I would say A Christmas Carol is to Christmas what Dracula is to Halloween. One thing that makes this story effective too is I love the journal approach to telling the story, because you get to jump from character to character and to get more of a sense of their personality. And it's also like the journals are a part of the story too, because people are reading each other's journals and you know what they read because you've just read them. So I like the way it makes the story roll along. What's also funny to me is how much this is such a cliched story at this point, because it's just been redone over and over and over again. But in a lot of respects, like, this was the original. This was written in a time when there weren't these cliches that existed. It must have been amazing to read back in the day. I can only imagine it must have been really mind-blowing and unsettling, because you're really dealing with some taboo subjects to Victorian England. I did have one holdup with the writing style, and this is something you see in a lot of old novels. They over-explain some descriptions. Listen to this description of Dr. Van Helsing. The poise of the head strikes me at once as indicative of thought and power. The head is noble, well-sized, broad, and large behind the ears. The face, clean-shaven, shows a hard, square chin, a large, resolute, mobile mouth, a good-sized nose, rather straight, but with quick, sensitive nostrils that seem to broaden as the big, bushy brows come down and the mouth tightens. The forehead is broad and fine, rising at first almost straight and then sloping back above two bumps or ridges wide apart. Such a forehead that the reddish hair cannot possibly tumble over it, but falls naturally back to the sides. Big, dark blue eyes are set widely apart and are quick and tender or stern with the man's moods. I got it. Dr. Van Helsing has a face. I can't keep up with a description like that and have a crystal mental picture in my head of what that's supposed to look like. So it's kind of a wasted effort, and you generally don't see these kinds of descriptions on books anymore, and I think that's a step in the right direction. On the other hand, there are some times when he skips over descriptions, and I really am curious like what it looks like. Occasionally vampires are killed in this story, and all he says is they turn to dust. And like, I could really use more. Like, did they change colors? Did they blow away in the wind? Like, that could use some more description as far as I could tell. But so were novels written back then, so I guess it's just what we have. Even so, I find that in this book there is a lot more to praise than there is to criticize. Very effective, fun Halloween story. 4.5 stars.